you want to hear this on behalf of the global board, all the chapter boards, and where we've really come with the association, and a brand new brand identity, logo, all the wonderful things we're going to talk about. You want to be in your seats. So just give me 10 minutes. First of all, Thomas, thank you again. Give him another round of applause. So to stand up and be the guy that has to talk about innovation and the risks that we're taking as an association, I couldn't think of a more perfect topic to have gone before me, but at the same time, awfully daunting. Fortunately, we did lots of experiments. We talked to lots of members. We spent a lot of time really thinking through this. So if there's any reason at all that we end up at that triangle out on the outside, please don't tell me until like 3 days later, just so I can get through the conference. But again, thank you all. This is fantastic to be in New York together. Really appreciate everybody being here, and I'm just excited that this is many firsts for our association. So first of all, I want to recognize, if this is your first time here, we talked about how many people are here for the first time. If you're first time here, stand up. So, no, you gotta stay standing. It's easier to get to your wallets when you're standing up. This is phenomenal. No, really, stay standing. No, I really mean it. Look around. Look around for those of you that have been here. Spend the time, reach out a hand, give them a hug, say hello. This is the future of this association. These are future. There are many prospective members in this room. Trust me, you are going to want to join this association when you leave this conference. Thank you all for taking a risk, coming here, being the first to come and show up. Really appreciate you all being here. So give a hand to those. Now, if you've been to more than 10 IACC conferences, stand up. So these would be the old farts, okay? Full of a lot of pride, a lot of ego, and a lot of hot wind. But in all seriousness, and by the way, I would be standing in that same category, having been here more than 10 times. A lot of wisdom in this room, a tremendous amount of passion. We thank you all for coming here. For those of you that sat down as first-time attendees, pick somebody out, spend time with them. Listen to their careers, listen to where they've come, listen to what this association means to them. The two groups standing through this exercise mean a lot to this association, so spend time with these veterans of IACC. Thank you all. All right, so I have to, my predecessor, Peter Stewart, unfortunately is not here, but have to thank him for 10 years of service as global president of IACC. Through his time, we went through IACC 2.0, which was really a guidepost for evolving the organization, tremendous amount of leadership succession. We certainly are very thankful we secured Mark Cooper. Where's Mark, by the way? Where are you, buddy? Mark is in the back, of course. I'm going to need you in a minute, by the way, to do this little selfie video because my phone is full and has too many photos on it. But we secured Mark Cooper as CEO of IACC. Let's give a round of applause for that. Mark has done a tremendous job. We've really restructured the entire support staff globally, going from an office in St. Louis to offices now in Chicago, London, and Australia. We just hired a temporary employee to be able to help out the Asia Pacific chapter. Significantly grew membership globally. We're now in 22 countries. That's phenomenal, 370 some odd members. Global connectivity, complete reorganization of all the boards. We are more globally aligned as an association than we ever have been in 35 years. The creation and growth of the European Conference. For those of you that have not been to the European Conference, you must go. There were 120 of us strong in Milan last year, and that conference started probably about 8 to 10 years ago with 25 people. Our first Asia Pacific conference was 25 people, so in 10 years that's going to be 100 strong. Completely updated quality standards to drive innovation. I'm pretty sure the only thing I will do better than Peter is remember that it's a 2-year job. All right, so Mark, get up here. All right, we're going to do a little thank you to Peter. All right, a little selfie video. So Mark's just going to stand here. We're all just going to stand up and say thank you, Peter, because he couldn't be here, unfortunately, because of some family issues. So you tell us when we're ready.
Okay, no light. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
1, 2, 3. Thank you, Peter! So starting in this role in October of last year, we spent a lot of time thinking through and reviewing strategy. You know, where is IACC today? Where do we need it to go? And one of the things that we did as a global board in Milan was we just said, well, what do we know? What do we know about our associate? What can we stand on for sure? Since the beginning of IACC, it's always been about exceptional meetings. From the first meeting in the Woodlands in 1980, when it was probably 25. Anybody was in that room, by the way, that's here today? A lot of you were in the Woodlands? You were in the room in the Woodlands, the first one? No. Okay. Well, my father was there, and I asked him, and he said it was all about exceptional meetings. It was all about creating a unique environment, something that was different than a typical hotel. Nowhere else in the world is a group gathered like this. Nowhere else. We've checked. It does not exist. This is the room where the brightest minds in the industry exist. Small to medium-sized meetings will last forever, and we own that niche as an association. The people in this room are focused on that niche in the business, and we will own it. We are mightier together than we are apart. There is no question about that. That's the whole basis of an association, is to be in the room together and to share, to change the industry. The words conference center in our industry only exist because of this association. Belonging to a community is why we exist. It's why you're here. We protect and support each other's careers. I guarantee you every single veteran that stood up that's been here for more than 10 years has had their life changed by the people in this room and by this association, and their careers have changed as a result. We are differentiated. Don't be fooled by people saying that hotels have caught up. Maybe some have, but the industry has not. We would like to think that. Some of us oldies sit around and we really pressure test the association, and we think they've really caught up, but they haven't. They have not caught up fully physically, and they certainly haven't caught up in terms of the experience. And every single one of us, when we compete, know that's a fact. IACC awareness worldwide is pretty amazing. For a small little association with not a big budget, for people to call us from countries we've never been to because they want to be a part of this association is pretty amazing. The global alignment of the association is at its best. We know we must respect the past, but we have to create IACC's future. The meeting business is evolving faster than ever. No doubts about that. Every single one of us are seeing it. Everything is evolving faster than ever. And perhaps the most challenging realization of all is that the words conference center no longer define the entire association. That ought to make everybody squirm in their chair just a little bit, huh? So with all that, right, what do we do with IACC today? How do we change the agenda? How do we think about it differently? We certainly thought about it differently for this conference. And there were two kind of themes we talked about as a global board. One was shock and awe. There is no time for simple things, for little ideas. We got to go big, and we got to go hard, and we got to go fast, and we got to own it, and we got to do fewer things better. So some of the goals that we set out were just simply increase the pride of each member. We spent a lot of time asking all of you what you wanted out of this association, and you're all part of an exclusive club. Increase the communication to our members. You need to know IACC more. Anybody remember in the 80s those "You Don't Know Bo" commercials from Bo Jackson? Well, many of our members don't know IACC. They don't really know who we are today. They may know who we were, but they don't really see where we are today. They're not showing up to events. They are not engaged, and we've got to change that. Growing the Australia Pacific chapter was a huge part of our initiative. Just simply driving awareness in a meeting planning community that has changed dramatically. If we're only going to speak to two audiences, we're going to speak to our members, and we're going to speak to the meeting planning community to make IACC more aware, and you've asked us for that. Fully enhancing supplier relationships. Spend the time with our suppliers who are here and our vendor partners who are here. Take the time, stop by, ask them what's going on. The Meeting Room of the Future project, which you're going to hear a lot about. Those of you that know Copper Skillet's been around a long time. This is the equal and opposite initiative that will live on for a very long time that no one else in the industry is talking about, and IACC will own as an association. to continue to provide relevant education. So you'll hear a lot this week. 75% of our education is new. And we asked you, we surveyed, we said, what do you want? What do you want to see more of? And lastly, to update the IACC branding. So I want to thank, are we going to put the presentation up, Bob? Thanks. So first of all, I want to thank Greg Starmack from the Starmack Group. Greg, are you here? There's Greg. So Greg has been our industry partner helping us out on this effort, as well as a host of committee members associated with this, and frankly, all of you. We asked and interviewed over 30 people through this process. So, honoring the past and creating our future. I guess I can't move away from the mic, can I? I'm used to walking around. I hate standing behind a podium. So, understanding the brand perceptions of our global membership. Respect the past, create the future. Recognize the trends that are shaping our industry. Accentuating IACC's strengths, and at the same time addressing some of those weaknesses that will hurt our association long term. And create an identity that we can really own, that we can master. As we went through this process, we had a competitive process to select Greg and his team. Conducted really, I say over 30, but it's really probably over 50 interviews from members, non-members, past members, board members, industry partners, and associate members. We scoured the industry, talked to planners as well. What do you know about IACC? What do you see? What do you perceive? Plenty of meeting trends and consensus on that's impacting our members. First of all, how we work has changed dramatically. None of these will be a revelation. Remote work, technology forward. The way our clients meet has changed significantly. More hands-on, collaborative, creative. We're seeing a lot of that. People in the workforce are demanding different needs. An emphasis on connection, the diverse experiences. Frankly, from distraction-free to distractions everywhere. I mean, that's the reality is conference center industry started with distraction-free. Now we want the distraction. We want the variety. We want to do different things. We don't want to be locked in a room for 8 hours. An 8-hour chair, I can't sit down for 2 hours for crying out loud. You guys are all already squirming right now. I'm keeping you in here for 2 hours. As a result, meetings are changing. The duration is shorter. The local scene matters. Where are we going? How are we going to connect to the local scene? That unique and inspiring spaces are a requirement. A boardroom with beige walls is no longer the most inspiring location. And the buying process is moving online. But one thing remained the same, the pressure to have an exceptional meeting. Every single customer still wants that exceptional experience. So part of the IACC story, again, a lot of consensus on this. These are all quotes from the interviews. This is not our words. We're an exclusive club of people and properties. There's exclusivity and prestige in this room. We've always been about exceptional meetings from day one. That has never changed. The IACC quality standards, an interesting feedback was there's definite historic benefit of how it began. At the same time, a bit of a current burden. Is it outdated? Is it a little bit different today, right? Are there some standards that began the association that aren't relevant today and we need to adapt? At the same time, a critical need to maintain differentiation and to make sure that educational tool and quality is still there, and it's still very much an important part of the association. The membership, it's a seal of exceptional quality, a pride, a marker that says, I'm part of something more than just myself. That signal to planners, at least those that know us, that we're on the cutting edge. I'll tell you an interesting story about those that don't even know us later today. Available research and trends to stay current, access to a global network of like-minded professionals in this business, and a differentiated sales proposition. All quotes from what we heard from people. And then we talked about the image, the brand, the perception today. A lot of consensus. Perceived as old and stodgy and out of the times. Well, nothing like being called old and stodgy to make you want to do something different, right? The words conference center, to some, carries very little weight. Moved away from it, said, you know what, that to me sounds to my customer a little bit old. But to others, a clearly well-defined differentiator. We realized this morning in our Americas chapter meeting, we as an association have allowed the words conference center to become perceived as something less than it really is. We've got to revive the relevance and the significance and the importance and the sexiness of those words, because it still means a lot to a lot of us. And if I step out of my IACC hat and I put my benchmark hat on, I have 20 facilities that still use that word. So I want it to mean something. I'm very interested in those words meaning something again. The desired image is more aligned with what IACC is today. This innovative, forward-thinking members, a must-join association. Did you all know you're part of the best brains in the business? Like, give yourselves a round of applause. Don't you think that's cool? Like, you're part of the cool, I've never been part of the cool crowd in my life, ever. I've never been part of the cool crowd in my life, but trust me, anybody who's thinking about small to medium-sized meetings in business wants to be in this room. You should be in this room. Exclusive, it's not for everybody. You have to earn it. You have to want to be here. It's global in nature and speech. We've got to think differently about how we talk. And we should be the disruptors. The people who are disrupting the meetings business should be looking to us to say, I've got to be in that room. And we've got to be those, that's what we started as. We started as disruptors. And somehow we lost that a little bit. Everyone agrees awareness is critical of the IACC brand. So the image of the future. First, a little tease, and then we'll play a little video here. What are those brand pillars? Exclusive meeting venues by design. Why meeting venues? Because we're more than just conference centers. Conference centers are a big part of our association, but we've got seminar houses and day meeting centers and corporate learning centers that are all exclusive, all uniquely designed, all have quality standards and a very specific environment in which it was built, purpose-built. We're at the forefront of meetings innovation. We've got to be the ones with the disruptors. We've got to be the ones teaching each other those innovative ideas. We're a globally connected network of passionate members. If there's anything about IACC, and those who have been here 10 years know, boy, we could beat ourselves up a lot and be our harshest critics, but boy, we're passionate. We are definitely passionate about this business and what we do and what we do for each other. And we're curators of this exceptional meeting experience. This aligns to both audiences. Everybody in this room who's a member, who may want to be a member, you'll want to be a part of these brand pillars. And to the planner, it sends a very clear message of specificity, differentiation, uniqueness. All right, Bob, roll the tape. We finished that about 8:30 a.m. this morning, by the way. Actually, not all that much of a joke. We pushed hard as an association to get here. We wrestled. We argued about every single word and color and font and logo and everything else. But it's how we define it as an association, and we ask you all to engage with us. This is done, but not done. there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of thoughts of how to put this out there, what to say, how to adapt this video. There's a ton of work that Mark and team are working on right now. You're going to get logos, you're going to get a press release, you're going to get all the information that you need as a member to represent this. Our call to action to you is display the logo proudly. You should have it everywhere possible to talk about it. Be proud of that membership. Your teams are our greatest source to awareness. When your sales teams talk about what it's like to be a member and why you're a member, that's our greatest source of awareness. We don't have a big enough budget to make the awareness and the reach of every single one of your teams talking about IACC as they're walking the halls. One quick story, about 5 years ago, we were at a property, the San Luis in Galveston, and we were in a meeting, and we broke, and we were just talking about this idea, this best meeting venues in the world. That's this exclusive club concept. And I walk down the hallway, and I meet with a meeting planner who was there, and I said, well, who are you here with? And she tells me the company, and it was some lumber company, and, you know, I'm the planner, and this is what we're doing. And I said, oh, and she said, well, what are you here for? Oh, I'm with IACC, the International Association of Conference Centers, and this was at the time, and she said, oh, well, what's that? I said, well, we're an association of the best meeting venues in the world. And she just looks at me and goes like this, like, wow, that sounds really cool. Like, I didn't tell her anything. I didn't tell her about tables or chairs or any of that. Just, we're association of the best meeting venues in the world. And I said, and by the way, this property is a member. And again, she perked up like, wow, I picked this place. And I walked away. That's it. That's the story, period. I don't have to tell her everything else. Best meeting venues in the world, brightest minds in the industry, people who are innovating meetings. That's what you're a part of. That's all your salesperson has to say. Doesn't that say to a planner, you care, that you're engaged, that you're spending the time to be at the forefront of the industry, that you're spending the dollars to be at the forefront of the industry? However that looks and feels, it says to a planner, you care. And there's nowhere else to do it but here, in this room with this association. So volunteer, show up, bring your clients next year. This is going to get bigger. We've got 16 meeting planners at our future session. Next year, that's going to be 50. Earlier I said 40. Now I'm raising the bar. It's going to be 50. All right? We're going to have buyers here, people who want to show up, who want to know who's leading the industry. This is a monumental time in the history of this association. You don't do this every 5 years. At the end of the day, my last message would be, you get out of IACC what you put into it. Don't sit back and wait for the board to do something for you. Don't sit back and say, what has the association done for me lately? Sit back and say, what have I done for the association? What have I added? When have I showed up? How am I taking advantage of it? Trust me, if you take advantage of it, you will get something out of it. So if you are a board member, Global, Americas, Asia Pacific, European, will you please stand up? First off, this is an incredible team of people to be a part of. I've been fortunate in this role to not only serve on the global board, but the Americas board, and to visit every single conference that we have had this last year. These people spend a tremendous amount of time, effort, they write checks, they get on planes, and they spend the time and they care. So I want to give them a round of applause. And we all want to hear from you. This is a big move, a bold move, a bit of a risky move. We know it's the right move. We've spent the time asking you, but we are certain we have not covered 100%. So talk to us, tell us your thoughts, give us your feedback. We're going to collect it all. We're going to change the game here. We're going to make sure that this implementation and everything that we're doing to change the brand and awareness is really moving forward. So please spend the time with us. Pick out a face if you have one near you, and spend time with us during the break, which I'm sure is going to be significantly shorter than it was anticipated. But thank you all. Looking forward to the rest of the conference.